I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're part of our family now. Pay your share, my mother-in-law declared at the family meeting, demanding half my income. That's only right, my husband nodded smugly. I smirked back. Their confident expressions crumbled when I replied, then you won't mind if I stop working altogether. Let me back up. I married Kenji 3 years ago, when I was 26. I had a solid career in data analytics, making good money. Kenji? Not so much. He had these grand dreams, but zero concrete plans. Always jumping from one business idea to another, claiming he was about to strike it big. I believed him at first. Thought he just needed time to find his footing. Turns out what he really needed was a full-time sponsor. And I was naive enough to play that role. For 3 whole years, I carried us financially. Rent?
Me.
Groceries?
Me.
Health insurance?
Me.
Kenji contributed when he felt like it, which wasn't often. His parents, especially his mother Akiko, always had excuses ready. He's still discovering himself. Some people bloom later. You should support your husband. I thought it was temporary. I thought he'd eventually grow up. Boy, was I wrong. One day, Kenji told me his mom wanted us over for a family meeting. I assumed it was about his latest financial disaster, which happened regularly. Maybe she wanted to brainstorm ways to fund his next brilliant venture. I had no idea I was walking into an ambush. We arrived at Akiko's house to find the entire clan assembled. His father Hiroshi, his brothers Taro and Yuki, their wives, even Akiko's sister. Everyone sat in the living room with grave expressions, like they were discussing a national emergency. I settled next to Kenji. He didn't look nervous. Actually, he looked pleased with himself. Akiko cleared her throat, clasping her hands like she was about to make some momentous announcement. Since you married into this family, you now owe us half your salary every month. Just like that. Like she was stating the weather. I actually laughed. I thought it had to be a joke. It wasn't. It's only fair, Kenji said, nodding like a trained seal. We share everything, and right now you have more than the rest of us. You've got to be kidding me. I looked around the room. Let me understand this. You want me to hand over half my paycheck to all of you? Every single month. Akiko smiled like she was doing me a huge favor. We're family, sweetheart. Family takes care of each other. I turned to Taro and Yuki. So, you guys are contributing too, right? Yuki smirked. Nah, I don't make enough. Taro wouldn't even meet my eyes. I looked back at Kenji. And you? Are you putting in half of whatever you make? Silence. Akiko huffed like I was being difficult. Honey, you earn more than enough to support all of us. We've taken care of Kenji his entire life. Now it's your turn. We're a unit. We look out for each other. Supported Kenji? I repeated slowly. You mean you enabled him? Kenji grabbed my hand, giving me that desperate, please don't embarrass me look. Look, it's just money, babe. You still get to keep half. That's when it hit me. This was orchestrated. A long con. And I was the mark. I stood up, grabbed my purse, and smiled sweetly. Well then, you won't mind if I quit working altogether. If my money is our money, I should get a say in how it's used, right? And I say I'm done. I've never seen a group of people look so dumbfounded simultaneously. You wouldn't dare, Akiko said, her voice climbing higher. You're overreacting, Kenji said quickly. Yuki laughed nervously. Come on, don't be so dramatic. I turned to Akiko. Do you even hear yourselves? You're not asking for help. You're demanding I become your personal ATM. Akiko lost it completely. You selfish little. I walked out. Kenji chased after me. Are you serious right now? Kenji snapped once we got outside. You expect me to just hand over half my paycheck like I owe you? Like I owe them? It's about family, he said, as if that explained everything. No, it's about control. It's about you refusing to work while I bankroll your entire family's lifestyle. And I'm done. Kenji ran his hands through his hair. Look, babe, I know. No more, babe. You just showed me exactly where I stand in this family. I'm nothing but a wallet to you people. That's not true. Really? I crossed my arms. Would you have sprung this little plan on me if I made less money? Silence. That told me everything. That's what I thought. I didn't go home with him. I drove straight to my friend's place and crashed there for the night. Lying in her guest bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized how blind I'd been. This wasn't random. There had been so many red flags. Kenji never taking real steps towards steady employment. Akiko constantly talking about how wives should contribute, while never holding her sons accountable. The way Kenji defended his family, no matter what, even when they were clearly wrong. They'd been grooming me for this exact moment. Now, they expected me to just fork over my future. Not happening. I woke up the next morning feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My phone was exploding. 10 missed calls from Kenji, 5 from Akiko, a string of texts that escalated from "let's talk" to full-blown threats. I ignored every single one. I wasn't ready to deal with them yet. Not until I had a strategy. Instead of going home, I went to work like nothing had happened. It felt surreal, sitting in meetings and analyzing data while my entire marriage imploded in the background. By noon, I had a new text from Kenji. "If you don't come home, I'm throwing your stuff out." So we were playing games now. I replied, "Go ahead. Just don't touch anything I bought." Shouldn't be hard since I paid for almost everything in that apartment. Silence. An hour later, another text. "You're being ridiculous. We need to talk."
No, we didn't.
I left him on read. That night, I checked into a hotel. I wasn't ready to face him alone. Sitting on the bed, scrolling through my messages, I weighed my options. Option 1. Go back, fight it out, try to salvage things.
Yeah, right.
Option 2. Pack my stuff, walk away, never look back. Or option 3. Make them regret ever messing with me. Guess which one I chose. The next day, I showed up at our apartment while Kenji was at work. First thing I did? Change the locks. Then I went through every receipt, bank statement, and online confirmation I could find. Everything proving what I'd paid for. The rent, the furniture, the car insurance, the internet. By the time I finished, I had solid documentation of what belonged to me. And I wasn't leaving without it. Kenji came home at 6. He tried his key. It didn't work. I opened the door just enough to see a shocked face. "What the hell is this?" "I pay for this apartment," I said calmly. "If you want in, you can ask nicely. Or better yet, get your own place." His face turned red. "You're insane." "No, I'm just done being used. You can't do this." "I already did." He shoved against the door, trying to push past me, but I had backup. My friend Sam stepped into view. Sam's ex-military, built like a tank, and takes zero nonsense from anyone. "I'd rethink that, buddy," she said, crossing her arms. Kenji froze. Sam smiled. "We're just here to collect her things. You know, since she's the one who actually paid for them." Kenji looked ready to explode. "You're destroying everything." "No," I corrected. "You did that all by yourself." As expected, Akiko got involved immediately. She called that night, screaming, "You locked my son out of his own home." "No, I locked myself into my home." "You're trying to tear this family apart." "Funny. I thought this family was all about helping each other." "Where's my help, Akiko?" "You little." I hung up. The next morning brought a legal-sounding email from Akiko. She must have Googled how to sound like a lawyer because it was a complete mess. "You are illegally withholding financial contributions from your spouse, which constitutes financial abuse. If you do not immediately pay your required share to the family, we will pursue legal action." I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Legal action for not giving them my paycheck? I forwarded it to my actual lawyer, who replied with one sentence, "This is nonsense. Ignore it."
So I did.
But I knew they weren't finished. Akiko was desperate, and desperate people make stupid choices. A week later, my bank called. "We have a flagged transaction on your joint account." "I don't have a joint account. It's under Kenji's name, but your paycheck was deposited into it. Someone just tried to withdraw $5,000. My stomach dropped. That lying piece of garbage. I went straight to the bank. Turns out Kenji had linked my payroll direct deposit to his account without my permission. I sat across from the bank manager, who was already suspicious. Can you prove you didn't authorize this? Oh, I could prove it. I pulled up emails, texts, screenshots. Kenji had no access to my work accounts. There was no written authorization. This was straight-up fraud. Would you like to report this as identity theft? The manager asked. I smiled.
Yes.
Absolutely. When Kenji discovered I'd frozen the account and filed a fraud claim, he completely lost it. You just ruined me. No, you ruined yourself. Then he played his final pathetic card. I love you. We can fix this. You stole from me. You let your family treat me like an ATM. There's nothing left to fix. After filing the fraud claim, I cut all financial ties with Kenji.
New bank account done.
Credit cards locked. Payroll direct deposit changed. Kenji was officially on his own. I expected more texts, more threats, maybe some dramatic scenes. What I wasn't expecting was what came next. A week after cutting Kenji off financially, I got a letter. Divorce papers. But something was wrong. First, I hadn't filed for divorce yet. Second, the papers included a financial agreement I'd never seen before. According to these documents, I had to pay Kenji $2,500 monthly in spousal support, cover his health insurance, and surrender 50% of my savings. I stared at the papers. Was this some kind of joke? No lawyer would draft something this one-sided unless Kenji and Akiko had faked them. I called the courthouse. No record of any divorce filing. They'd forged legal documents. I texted Kenji. Nice try. Those papers are fake. No response. I did what any reasonable person would do. I took the papers to a real lawyer. The moment he looked at them, he started laughing. This isn't just fake, it's illegal. Did they think you wouldn't check? Apparently, yes. With my lawyer's help, I filed a lawsuit against Kenji and Akiko for fraud and attempted financial coercion. Fraud for forging legal documents. Financial coercion for trying to extort money from me. I also filed a separate police report. Kenji wasn't just lazy. He was a criminal. Akiko wasn't just controlling. She was an accomplice. They thought they could trap me. Instead, they'd backed themselves into a corner. 2 weeks later, Kenji called in full panic mode. You need to drop the charges. Why would I do that? The police came to my job. They questioned me in front of my boss. Maybe you shouldn't have committed fraud. Kenji had never faced real consequences before. Akiko had always bailed him out. But this time, no one could save him. Akiko tried. She showed up at my workplace, stormed into the lobby, and started screaming about how I was destroying her son's life. Security had to escort her out. Her parting words as they dragged her away, "You'll regret this." She was right, because what she did next changed everything. A week after her meltdown, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Kenji's landlord. I'm calling because I understand you were financially responsible for Kenji's rent. No, I wasn't. That's strange. Your name is listed as the co-signer on his lease.
What?
I'd never signed anything for Kenji's apartment, which meant he or Akiko had forged my signature again. I asked the landlord to send me a copy of the lease. Sure enough, my signature was on it. But it wasn't mine. Akiko had faked it. This wasn't just fraud anymore. This was identity theft. At this point, I had enough evidence to destroy them. I filed another police report. Akiko got a visit from the cops. This time, she didn't storm into my job or threaten me over the phone. She went completely silent.
Why?
Because she knew. She'd dug her own grave, and I was happy to let her fall into it. Kenji finally cracked. One night, I got a text from an unknown number. It was him. I'm sorry. For what? Everything. I stared at the screen. I should have felt something, but I didn't. Because I knew this wasn't genuine regret. Kenji wasn't sorry for what he'd done. He was sorry for getting caught. And me? I was finally free. After Kenji's pitiful attempt at an apology, I knew I was in the home stretch. The fraud charges against him and Akiko were under investigation. The police had questioned both of them, and things looked really bad. Akiko, who'd spent years controlling everyone around her, was now in full panic mode. She wasn't as powerful as she'd thought. And Kenji?
He was spiraling.
Then came the biggest revelation. One evening, I was going through emails when a new one appeared. Subject line: Urgent. You need to see this. It was from a woman I didn't recognize. Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I dated Kenji a few years ago. I just heard about everything that's happening, and I think you need to know something. Attached were screenshots, text messages between Kenji and Akiko, bank statements showing payments labeled mom loan repayment, a legal document with my forged signature, and worst of all, a contract with my name on it agreeing to financially support Akiko for 5 years. It was dated before Kenji, and I even got married, meaning this was their plan from the very beginning. I wasn't the wife. I was the retirement plan. I didn't text Kenji. I didn't call. I went straight to Akiko's house. When she opened the door, her fake smile vanished instantly. You need to leave. I stepped inside anyway. Want to explain this? I said, holding up my phone. Her eyes darted to the screen. The messages. The contract. The proof. She swallowed hard. For the first time ever, she looked nervous. I don't know what you think you found, but drop the act, Akiko. I snapped. You planned this. All of it. Before we were even married, you were setting me up to bankroll your pathetic family. She opened her mouth to deny it, but then Kenji walked in. His face went white. What's happening? Ask your mother, I said, still holding up my phone. He glanced at the screen and his entire body went rigid. Busted. Akiko tried to recover. That's old. That's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like, I shouted. You knew. I turned to Kenji. You knew she was using me and you went along with it.
He couldn't even look at me.
Say it. I dared him. Say it to my face. Say you didn't know. Silence. That was all the confirmation I needed. You're a liar. A con artist. A coward. My voice shook with rage. I spent years thinking you were just lost, just trying to find yourself. But no, you knew exactly what you were doing. He finally snapped. What was I supposed to do? Kenji yelled. You had everything. A career, money. Mom was struggling. I had nothing. So instead of being a man and building your own life, you decided to steal mine. Akiko jumped in. Don't talk to him like that. He's your husband. Not anymore. She froze.
What?
I'm done. I already started divorce proceedings. I'm taking back everything that's mine. And after this fraud case goes through, you and your son can rot together. Akiko screamed. Kenji begged. But I walked out and never looked back. A few weeks later, the fraud case concluded. Kenji was charged with identity theft and fraud. He got probation and a criminal record, which meant finding a job was going to be a nightmare. Akiko was forced to pay fines for forging legal documents. She tried to fight it in court, but the judge saw right through her lies. Their entire family fell apart. Taro and Yuki, who'd always laughed at my expense, turned on Kenji when he couldn't leech off me anymore. And me?
I thrived. Got an even better job.
Moved to a beautiful new place without a single toxic parasite around me. Met someone new, someone who actually respects me. And the best part? I never had to deal with them again.